Chapter 1: The Crimson Tide. The crimson sun dipped below the jagged peaks of Olympus Mons, casting long shadows across New Olympus. The city, a marvel of Martian terraforming, hummed with a vibrant energy. Hydroponic farms, glowing emerald under artificial lights, snaked through the canyons, providing sustenance for the bustling colony. But tonight, a chilling undercurrent disrupted the usual harmony. Dr. Aris Thorne, a man etched with the lines of relentless study and quiet determination, stood on his balcony, a glass of Martian-grown wine clutched in his hand. His dark eyes, usually sharp with intellectual curiosity, held a flicker of unease. The air, usually crisp and recycled, carried a subtle, earthy scent, damp soil and something else, something faintly metallic and sickeningly sweet. "Another tremor," he muttered, the words barely audible above the gentle whir of the colony's life support systems. He'd felt the subtle shudder earlier that evening, a barely perceptible vibration that ran through the Martian bedrock. It was the third in as many weeks, unsettlingly erratic. His communit chirped, a notification from the Central Agricultural Control. He tapped the screen, his brow furrowing as he read the terse message: Hydroponics Section 7, Widespread Fungal Growth. Requesting immediate biohazard assessment. Aris's heart pounded a familiar rhythm, a drumbeat of apprehension and grim familiarity. This wasn't just a standard blight. He'd seen this before, a horrifying echo of a past tragedy. He raced through the winding corridors of New Olympus, the polished metal gleaming under the emergency lights. He reached Section 7, a cavernous expanse filled with tiered hydroponic beds. The scene that greeted him was a horrifying spectacle. The vibrant green had been replaced by a creeping crimson tide, a rapidly spreading fungal growth that consumed the plants with alarming speed. The air hung heavy with the metallic sweetness that had unsettled him earlier. Dr. Thorne, a young technician, his face pale with fear, rushed towards him. "It's spreading too fast. We tried everything, fungicides, sterilization protocols, nothing works." Aris knelt, examining the crimson growth. Its tendrils pulsed with a disturbing life of their own, a grotesque mimicry of the plants they were destroying. He ran a quick analysis with his portable scanner, his blood running cold as he saw the results. This was no ordinary fungus, it was something alien. And it was rapidly mutating. He looked up at the technician, his voice tight with a controlled fury. "Get me Counselor Valeria immediately. Tell her this isn't a simple blight. This is a pandemic waiting to happen." He received a curt, dismissive response from Counselor Valeria herself. "Dr. Thorne, we understand your concerns. But we're handling the situation. Contain the affected section. We'll issue a statement to the public when we deem it necessary." Aris fought to control his rising anger. Valeria, ever the pragmatist, prioritized maintaining order above all else. But this wasn't about order, it was about survival. "Counselor," he pressed, his voice dangerously low. "This isn't just some agricultural issue. This fungus is evolving too rapidly. It's airborne. If we don't act decisively, this colony, hell, the whole planet is at risk." Before Valeria could respond, another tremor shook the ground. This one was stronger, more violent. And as the dust settled, Aris saw it, a newly exposed fissure in the Martian bedrock, pulsating with the same sickening crimson glow as the fungus. The truth hit him with the force of a physical blow: the tremors, the fungus, they were connected. And this wasn't just an outbreak, it was an invasion. Chapter 2: Whispers in the Dust. The weight of the crisis settled heavily on Aris's shoulders. Counselor Valeria's dismissive response had only fueled his determination. He knew the official channels were clogged with bureaucracy and self-preservation. His only hope lay in his own relentless pursuit of a cure, a desperate gamble against a rapidly evolving enemy. He retreated to his secluded lab, a haven of scientific curiosity nestled deep within the Martian canyons. The lab, a testament to his independent spirit, was filled with the hum of sophisticated equipment and the scent of ozone and chemicals. He focused his attention on the data from Section 7, the alien fungus's genetic sequence, a maddeningly complex puzzle. "It's evolving too fast," he murmured, running his hand through his already disheveled hair. "Conventional methods are useless. His gaze fell on a dusty, forgotten file, research notes on Martian extremophiles, organisms capable of thriving in the planet's harsh environments. A long-dormant idea flickered in his mind. Days bled into weeks. Aris worked tirelessly, fueled by coffee, determination, and the haunting memories of his family, lost to a less virulent strain of the same fungal pathogen years ago. He pored over ancient research logs, uncovering forgotten expeditions and the whispers of a far older, more terrifying secret. The extremophiles, he discovered, held the key. Their resilience to harsh conditions hinted at a possible resistance to the crimson rot. One evening, while combing through data from a long-abandoned research facility beneath New Olympus, he stumbled upon a hidden vault. Inside, he found centuries-old records, documents detailing previous encounters with a fungus remarkably similar to the crimson rot. The text, faded and brittle, spoke of a time when humanity's ancestors had battled this ancient foe, utilizing extremophile genetics to create a counteragent. Incredible, he breathed, his fingers tracing the words etched on crumbling parchment. This wasn't just a recent outbreak, this was a recurring nightmare, a threat humanity had faced and almost forgotten. He emerged from the vault, a renewed fire in his eyes. He needed a team, people who could believe in his unorthodox methods, his desperate gamble. He reached out to Dr. Lena Hansen, a brilliant but ostracized biochemist, Kai Ito, a maverick geneticist known for his unorthodox techniques, and Dr. Jen Lee, a seasoned immunologist who shared his skepticism of the Council's official line. Their initial meeting was tense. Lena was hesitant, skeptical of Aris's unconventional approach. Kai was enthusiastic but reckless. Jen was pragmatic, focused on the limited resources and the immense risk. But Aris's passion, his conviction, his unveiling of the ancient records, began to sway them. "We're not just fighting a plague," Aris stated, his voice low and intense. "We're fighting a legacy. A recurring threat. And the only way we can win is by looking beyond the established paradigms, by embracing the unexpected." Lena hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I'm in." Kai grinned, a spark of excitement in his eyes. Jen, ever the realist, added, "But we need to move quickly and quietly. The Council won't tolerate this kind of defiance." As they began their clandestine collaboration, the whispers of the ancient records fueled their efforts. The fight for survival had taken on a new dimension, not just against the crimson rot, but against the complacency and secrecy that had almost led to humanity's demise before. The race against time had begun, a desperate scramble for knowledge and a gamble against an ancient, malevolent force. Chapter 3: Seeds of Rebellion. The Martian dust swirled outside Aris's lab window, mirroring the chaos unfolding within New Olympus. The crimson rot spread with terrifying speed, defying all conventional containment efforts. Hospitals overflowed, the metallic sweetness of the fungal spores permeating the air, a constant reminder of the looming catastrophe. The Council, initially dismissive, now scrambled to implement increasingly desperate, and often brutal, measures. Curfews were enforced, movement restricted, and whispers of forced quarantines filled the hushed corridors of the colony. Aris and his team worked day and night, their small, clandestine operation a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. They had made significant progress, isolating a crucial extremophile enzyme capable of neutralizing the crimson rot's aggressive properties. But they faced a critical roadblock. They needed access to the colony's most advanced gene editing technology, the Kronos array, a system under the exclusive control of the Council. "They won't give it to us," Jen Lee stated grimly, his voice laced with weariness. "Not without a massive political concession, a complete surrender of our independence." "We don't have time for political games," Kai Ito retorted, his usually calm demeanor frayed. "We need the array. It's the only way we can synthesize the counteragent at scale." Lena Hansen, her normally sharp gaze clouded with worry, added, "We've already seen the Council's response. They're prioritizing control and public image over effective action. We can't rely on them." Aris, his face etched with grim determination, said, "Then we take it." Their clandestine operation to access the Kronos array was fraught with risk. They navigated the colony's intricate security systems, using a combination of Aris's ingenious hacking skills and Kai's intimate knowledge of the facility's infrastructure. The tension was palpable, every silent footstep, every whirring vent, a potential alarm. But as they neared their target, a disturbing discovery shattered their carefully laid plans. A data leak, originating from within the Council itself, revealed a shocking truth: the Council hadn't merely been negligent, they had been actively experimenting with the Crimson Rot, attempting to weaponize it for their own nefarious purposes. The fungal outbreak wasn't an accident, it was a deliberate act of bioterrorism, a calculated gamble for power. They knew, Lena whispered, her voice choked with disbelief. They knew all along and they let it happen. The revelation ignited a fire in the team. The act of defiance was no longer simply about saving the colony, it was about justice, about exposing the truth. They pressed forward, the urgency sharpened by the newly revealed treachery. Their infiltration of the Kronos Array facility was a nail-biting suspense-filled sequence. They bypassed laser grids, disabled motion sensors, and navigated complex security protocols, a dance between skill, courage, and sheer luck. Finally, they reached the array's control room, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they initiated the data transfer, a sudden alarm blared. They were discovered. But instead of retreat, a hardened resolve settled over the team. They had come too far, risked too much, to be deterred. The seeds of rebellion had been sown, and now, they were ready to reap the consequences. Their fight for survival had transformed into a full-blown revolt against a corrupt power structure, a desperate fight for the soul of humanity on Mars. Chapter 4: Lazarus Rising. The adrenaline fueled their frantic work. The Kronos Array, humming with power, pulsed with the data transfer, sending the extremophile enzyme sequence to their makeshift lab. The escape from the Council's facility had been a near-run thing, a chaotic dash through darkened corridors, narrowly avoiding capture. They were now fugitives, hunted by the very authorities they were trying to save. Back in their lab, the atmosphere was a mixture of exhaustion, exhilaration, and grim determination. The pressure was immense, every second counted. The Crimson Rot continued its relentless advance, its tendrils already reaching the outskirts of their hidden research facility. The enzyme sequence is unstable, Kai Ito announced, his voice tight with frustration. It's rejecting the integration protocols. We need to tweak the genetic code, but time is running out. Lena Hansen, her fingers flying across her console, responded, I'm trying a different approach, focusing on the extremophile's self-repair mechanisms. It's a long shot, but it's our best bet. Jen Lee, ever the pragmatic voice of reason, added, we need to consider the dosage. A too powerful counteragent could have unforeseen consequences. We're walking a tightrope between cure and catastrophe. As they worked, a chilling revelation emerged. One of their own, Dr. Anya Sharma, a seemingly dedicated member of the team, was revealed to be a double agent, working for a shadowy faction within the Council that had weaponized the Crimson Rot. Anya had subtly sabotaged their progress, introducing errors into the genetic code, delaying their creation of the counteragent. Aris, his face pale with betrayal, confronted Anya. The ensuing confrontation was a tense, emotionally charged exchange, a clash of scientific ambition and ruthless political maneuvering. Anya's motivations were complex, a mixture of ambition, fear, and a twisted sense of loyalty to a broken system. The revelation shattered their trust and threatened to unravel their entire operation. You knew, Aris said, his voice shaking with a mix of anger and grief. You let this happen. I did what I had to, Anya responded, her voice cold and devoid of remorse. To protect the colony, to secure its future, even if it meant making difficult sacrifices. Aris was torn. Anya's explanation resonated with a dangerous truth: the Council's actions, while morally reprehensible, were born from a desperate attempt to secure their power and, in their twisted logic, preserve the colony. He knew Anya had to be stopped, but time was running out. The Crimson Rot was already reaching their lab. In a desperate gambit, Aris decided to outmaneuver Anya, using her own sabotage against her. He manipulated the faulty genetic code, using her interference as a framework to accelerate their progress. It was a risky maneuver, a gamble on his own intuitive understanding of the extremophile's genetic structure. Against all odds, it worked. They synthesized the counteragent, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. They named it the Lazarus strain, a potent antidote that offered a chance for resurrection against the overwhelming odds. But the price had been steep: a broken trust, a painful betrayal, and a relentless race against a ruthless foe, leaving them with only a slim window of opportunity to deploy their creation and save the colony. Chapter 5: Echoes of Olympus. The Martian sky bled into a bruised purple as Aris and his team prepared for the Lazarus strain deployment. The Council, facing utter collapse, had resorted to desperate measures: brutal quarantines, ruthless crackdowns, and the systematic extermination of infected sectors, turning the once vibrant colony into a ravaged battlefield. The air crackled with tension, a mixture of fear, defiance, and the desperate hope that flickered in their eyes. "We need to act fast," Gen Li said, his voice tight with urgency. "The Council's scorched earth tactics are creating more chaos than they're solving. We need to deploy the Lazarus strain before they destroy everything." Aris, his face grim, nodded. "We'll use the old hydroponics tunnels. It's the fastest route to reach the most heavily infected areas." Their mission was a harrowing race against time. They navigated the labyrinthine tunnels beneath New Olympus, dodging Council patrols and battling the spreading crimson rot. The air grew thick with fungal spores, a constant threat to their already weakened systems. Each step was a gamble, a test of their endurance and resolve. The confrontation with Anya was unavoidable. She stood at the heart of the most heavily infected sector, overseeing the Council's brutal extermination efforts. She was armed, resolute, and consumed by a twisted sense of duty. "It's too late, Aris," she said, her voice cold and devoid of emotion. "The damage is done. The colony is lost. This was the only way to secure a future for humanity." "Not this way," Aris retorted, his voice laced with anger and sorrow. "There's always another way. There's always hope." Their ensuing fight was not a battle of physical strength, but of ideologies and beliefs. Aris disarmed Anya not with brute force, but with a heartfelt appeal to her inherent humanity, to the shared responsibility they bore to the colony. He reminded her of their shared past, of the ideals that had once driven them to pursue science. His words resonated with a profound sadness, a lament for the loss of what they both had hoped for. With Anya subdued, the team focused on deploying the Lazarus strain. The process was fraught with peril. They worked tirelessly, using drones and automated systems to inject the antidote into the affected areas. The crimson tide slowly but surely began to recede. The victory was hard-won, bittersweet. New Olympus was saved, but at a devastating cost. The city was scarred, its infrastructure damaged, its social fabric torn. The Council's reign was over, replaced by a fragile new order, a government born from the ashes of corruption and betrayal. As the sun finally rose over a battered New Olympus, casting a pale light on the ravaged landscape, Aris stood amidst the survivors, a weary but determined figure. He knew the scars of the crimson rot would remain, a haunting reminder of the near catastrophe. But he also knew that humanity's spirit, its tenacity, its relentless pursuit of knowledge and hope, had prevailed. The echoes of Olympus, a testament to their survival, would resonate for generations to come. The fight had been won, but the vigilance needed to remain, for the whispers of ancient threat still lingered in the Martian dust.